Good afternoon. This is Harry Wilson. With me today is Amy Noble. Amy is the Vice President of Human Resources with Window and Door System. Window and Door System is a division of Quanix Building Products. Quanix Building Products is a company headquartered in Houston, Texas. They're about $1 billion in revenue, and they serve the fenestration market in the United States, predominantly in the United States, a little bit in North America. They serve the Window and Door System division makes vinyl extrusion, which is the vinyl window frames in most of your homes that you see across the United States. They serve large OEMs such as JELD-WEN, Pella, and competitors such as Milgard. So they've been headquartered here in Seattle, Washington. So I thought it'd be good today to meet with Amy and talk about her leadership styles and how she uses her leadership styles here as Vice President of Human Resources. So welcome, Amy. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start a little bit about telling the team about your background, a little bit about your history, how long you've been in your current role?
Yes, I've been with Window and Door Systems for 15 years now, in my current position for 4 years. A little bit about my background is it's all been in human resources in the manufacturing industry. And throughout my career, I've had different leaders and bosses. And what I've done is I've learned from them as to what are some traits that I have found important in leaders that I think are strong leaders. And I've been able to take from that and have been able to mold my leadership style based off of what I have seen work well in the organization.
Good. So what are some of the leadership styles that you think are the most influential here for you personally and for Window and Door?
I think, an important leader to me has been somebody who has allowed me to learn and grow and to be almost a teacher. What I have found is, somebody who lets me observe them, but then takes the opportunity and has me lead situations or employee issues and observes me and then provides me with feedback on how I've done. So it's somebody who's going to be able to provide feedback and direction to me to help me grow. Also somebody who I know that is going to be honest with me and that I can trust and confide in. Somebody that's willing to listen. I think that's important to be a leader. Also somebody that has the ethical background to do the right thing for the organization, but also the employees, and has that fine balance between what's right for the organization along with what's right for the employees.
Well, speaking of ethics, ethics is a big thing for not only leaders but folks within the entire organization. How has ethics influenced your behavior in your current role?
I know with me is I always ask myself, is this a decision that I could live with and go to bed at night and know that I've made the right decision and I'm not going to do something that's going to impact the company or employees in a negative way. And I know for me is if I feel like it's something a decision I could live with and that I won't mind sharing with my family, then I know I'm using ethical behavior.
Within the organization, how do you get ethics across to the rest of the organization? How do we get the rest of the organization to have that same spirit as you do?
It's a challenge. We do have our company code of ethics and our creed that we stand by, that we share with all of the employees. But I believe it's, a mindset that employees have ingrained with them to do the right thing. But I also believe it's leading by example. And if the employees see leaders that are really driving the ethical behavior and doing the right thing, then they're going to follow suit. If they see leaders sliding and not being ethical, or if they feel like that the leaders are not being honest and upfront with them, then they'll have a tendency to believe that this is the way the organization is, and they'll follow into those behaviors and those traps.
Good. So you mentioned earlier that some of the managers or leaders that you've been associated with, there are some behavioral traits that you've picked up on and learned from. Honesty, integrity being one of those. Self-confidence is probably another one. What are some of the behavioral traits that have been most influential in your role?
I think somebody who takes the opportunity to know the job at hand of what their employees are performing is key and important. I know if I go to a leader and they do not have the background or the understanding of my role, then that causes some challenges. So somebody that's willing to learn a little bit about the position of what their incumbents are in is helpful. Also somebody who provides coaching and advice and says, have you looked at it this way, or have you tried doing it this method? So somebody who's willing to share some different ideas and solutions from experiences that they've had in the past. I think that's important. And somebody who has the desire to have their employees grow within the organization, somebody that's not going to stand in the way and prevent an employee from developing. I think that's key, is you want your employees to be successful, and a good leader allows that.
Have you seen your traits change? And you said you've been with the company for 15 years and 4 years in a VP role. Have you seen your behavioral traits changed over that time?
I have, and a couple times I've really noticed it is if I have a different boss or manager, I notice that my leadership skill set or traits will change. Also, depending on the situation and what the company is going through, my behavior changes as well. And I've also learned to adapt my style based on the employees or the other peer groups that I'm interacting with. I adjust my style based off of how they are.
So in recent years, there's been a lot of publications about emotional intelligence, and I know we've talked about that here at the office.
Right.
Can you describe how you use emotional intelligence in your current position?
Yeah, what I do is, it's about knowing and being able to read people and their personal styles and be able to adjust how you interact with them. Also being able to read and observe the situation and tailor your discussion and the way you communicate based off of the audience. So I think that's important, is understanding the audience. How you communicate with hourly employees is going to be different than how you communicate with an executive team. So really being able to understand that and tailor your style based off of that.
So if I ask about 10 people, what is Amy's leadership style? How would they describe your leadership style? Or probably a fairer way is, how would you describe your leadership style?
I would say, if I think about my team, I would say that they know I'm going to set some clear expectations, so there's no confusion as to what they need to do. They would also say that I try to use my background and knowledge and my past experiences to help them to be better leaders and better employees. I'm a teacher and mentor. I also challenge them because I want them to be able to grow and develop, and I feel by having challenges, that helps you grow in your role. They also know, though, that I expect, I have high expectations, and, they understand that. And they know that they have to deliver but that I understand that there's going to be some opportunities for them, and I'll coach them through that as well.
It sounds like you use different styles for different audiences or groups of folks. Is that difficult to transition from one style to a different style?
It is difficult, but once you've been involved in those situations, it almost comes naturally. I know with me, if you're familiar with the DISC profile, my personality is more of the S, the sensing. However, I work with a group of mostly Ds who they just want the facts, they want it quick, they don't want to hear a bunch of background noise about the situation. So I know in those situations I have to adapt and be very quick with my delivery. So it can be a challenge, but once you do it, it becomes natural.
So one of the things we see posted in some of our offices talks about see it, own it, solve it, and do it. What does this mean to you?
It means if there's an issue or problem going on, rather than reaching out to others and saying, what are you doing about it? I ask myself, what can I do to help the situation? And it's really about taking ownership and driving personal accountability and accountability in the organization. I believe it's not passing off the problems and playing the victim, but like I said, asking yourself, what can I do to help the situation?
So what advice would you give folks that are, going through an MBA program or just starting out after school in terms of leadership?
I would say, remember where you came from, and always make sure you remember, to do the right thing, what's ethical, and what you feel like is the best thing for yourself and the organization to be successful. Also is to remember that, what you learn in school, you have to be able to adjust in the business world, that it's not always the textbook answer, but you have to have an open mind and be willing and able to adjust as necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.